Oh, yes. Good morning. Good morning, people. How we doing? Hopefully, you don't get too much screen glare off of this morning. Um, it is weird. Just clean that camera. Oh, you enjoyed that, didn't you? Not. Yeah. I ain't even done me hair. Don't care. I just don't care. Lovely to see you all. It is -3 here. Well, it was first thing this morning. We just had our first little bit of sleet. They do reckon that we got snow coming today. I've got my thermal slippers on, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you, I've come to the conclusion right now. When you get chilly, if you keep your feet wrapped up nice and warm, a nice warm fluffy pair of slippers on, because I think the heat gets pulled out the bottom of your feet. I really do. I tell you, I've got my little snow warmers on now with my little tootsies, and yeah, they're lovely and warm. Really, really nice and warm. Morning, everybody. Let's have a little roll call. Adam Cox, buenos dias, inmates of the asylum. Now, mate, we are living in a asylum, aren't we? Eh? Kinel. Jason Wills, good morning, son. Nice to Owen Lloyd Martin, mate. I could just do with a little cuddle with you this morning. Let me tell you, out there in Portugal. Hope you're well. Del Boy, good morning, Dave. See, it's snowing there too. It is kind of it's wanting to do something. It was. Can you go yourself? It was -3 this morning. Wesley Richard All, Wesley Richard H. Morning, Dave from Tracy. That's confusing. Now there are some geezers named Tracy. Yeah, I've come across these things in my time. Snowing here in Mid Wales, dear voice. Snowing down here in Mid Wales. Yeah, see. Oh yeah. Oh, that's the trouble when it snows in Wales. You can't find your sheep. I think that's why they put them red and blue markers on their back so they can track them and see where the sheep are. Morning, Dave. Glad to see you got your big knickers on. Yes, mate. Yeah, listen, I'm fully prepared this year. Got me wood burner. He's on the go over there. I can turn this camera around and show you a wood burner. I don't think I can on this particular facility. Or can I? Let's have a look. No, I can't. That's just for sharing. Anyway, it is what it is. Dave, when you say walk through the fire, what do you mean? Fear? No. No, it's when I say walk through the fire, it's okay. We'll get into that in a second. We'll get into that. Let's do the roll call first. Let's do the roll call. You're so excited. You get me so turned on, you lot. You really do. Simon Boyle, hello, sweetheart. Nice to see you. We got any relationship to Susan there, Simon? Don't be offended by that. I'm just saying because she might lend you a few quid. Contact you later, fella. Yes, mate. Gorgeous. Be lovely to see you. Beth Marshall. Hello, darling. Due snow tomorrow, apparently. I believe it when I see it. Well, I don't mind the white stuff, to be fair. It's nice when it's cut, but then when it's been on the roads a few days, we'll get the hump of it, don't we? I must say, the boys that get out there in their gritting lorries do quite a fantastic job at keeping the roads nice and clear. It's a few days into Joe Biden now. We've had Joe Biden. I don't know where he's locked up in some sort of a bunker somewhere. Simon, you sweetheart. Oh, it's lovely to see you, darling. It is, sure. June Gower. Hello, darling. They keep coming in. I'm loving it. Morning, all you love arts. Yeah, keep warm. Aurora Storm. Big shout out to my mate Frankie Duggan. Yesterday, she had to have her horse put to sleep. Fritz, and I've just sent her a little heartfelt message this morning. I mean, as you know, ladies and gentlemen, I have got horses myself, and I did lose a boy of mine about 2.5, 3 years ago, and I tried saving his life. I'm terrible with blood. If I see my own blood, I'm very prone to falling over and taking out the nearest whatever it is, speaker, lampstand. I'm generally on the floor, passed out. But my mum is a vet nurse, and he was her horse really, and she froze. She didn't really know what to do, and I've actually got my hand up inside his veins with a load of wadding trying to stop the bleeding, but alas, it was not to be, and we lost him. And it is just flipping heartbreaking when we lose our loved ones. It really, really is, isn't it? So Hunter Biden likes the white stuff, sniff. Apparently, his laptop. Well, it's all about the laptops, isn't it? We've had what's her name? Cruella de Vil. What's her name? Nancy Pelosi. She looks like all right. No, don't take this the wrong way, but she really looks like a coffin dodger. She don't look a very well lady. And funnily enough, if you look at Hillary, and Bill Clinton years ago, before he splashed himself all over Monica Lewinsky's cardigan, They look quite arty looking people, but once they've been in politics all these years, it looks like they've had the lifeblood sucked out of them. They look like vampires and can only have that kind of a fun, especially when you do bad things. I actually do believe that the American people in the next not distant future will realise that they've made a big fuck up and let Donald Trump go. And I know Trump's probably out on a golf course somewhere. He's probably having a Trump steak. He's probably just living the dream. You know, that man, let's put it this way, he ain't going without, is he? And do you know what? What I really dig about Trump is he never, ever took a penny. He never put a single brass farthing or a cent or a dollar in his pocket from being the president of America for 4 years. How's about that? What a man. What a dude. I think he will go down eventually. Don't forget, everyone rejected Jesus. And I'm not saying that he was Jesus, far from it. But I think he was quite a godly character because the Israeli people in Jerusalem, they mounted him on not on a pavement or on a donkey, but they mounted him on a coin called the half shekel coin, a solid silver coin. And they put him on it with Cyrus. Now, Cyrus was an amazing leader many, many centuries ago. And it's just unheard of. For the Israeli people to mount Trump on a coin tells me that there's quite some significance. And whoever Trump was, I don't know. But all will play out, all will be seen. I know that Joe Biden's up to no good now anyway. So we'll see. I'm excited for giving up the graven image. It all makes such sense last night. God bless Marcus, a certain king. Absolutely right. You did watch it, yeah? Bless you, man. Bless you. This year's going to be really, really, really exciting. There's going to be many people in this country, around the world, that are going to be going back and saying to the public servants, no, thank you. Here's the return of your property. And we're coming back into God's glorious jurisdiction, which we all should be. Now, one of my favourite films as a young lad was Time Machine. And whenever it come on the TV, if anyone got in my way, say if my brother got in the way of me watching the telly, I probably would have beaten him up, which I often did. I was quite a wicked little kid, to be fair. No, that was all right. I just stood up for myself. But the Time Machine film, I used to love it, and it was all about. In the end, the Morlocks were a load of people, and Morlock is another word for Baphomet and the devil, and so is Saint Nick. I don't know if you know, we all worship Saint Nick at Christmas. Well, Saint Nick is an anagram and a description of the devil. I don't know if you know that, but anyway, you have to get into the word to read it to find that one out. But anyway, in the film Time Machine, he goes round and the Morlocks are underground. Now, I think a lot of our politicians and that do work in the underground type thing. They were really scary looking things, they had red eyes, big furry outfits. They looked like they was out of status quo. That's how bad and scary they look. They look like Rick Parfitt on steroids. And they used to put out a siren, a bit like the Police's Blues and Two siren, and these good looking blonde, blue-eyed men and women in these like Star Trek suits, the doors would open and they'd just walk out and they'd never be seen again. And then what would happen is the doors would shut, the sirens would go off, and everyone in there that had made off with their life and hadn't gone out through the doors, they'd look at each other for a few seconds and go, oh, it's all right, we're still here. And they'd carry on the business. They wouldn't even pay attention. And this guy's going berserk. He's going, what are you planning? What are you doing? Anyway, in the end, he blows up the Morlock base. He beats them all up, caves in their caverns and that, and he teaches everyone that they've all been asleep, mass walking through the thing. And I feel like that I've lived that film Time Machine. I really, really do. And my life has always been from an observance. I've always observed things, even when the police was at my house and the electric company was swapping out the meter a few months ago. But that's a foolhardy thing, because I'm gonna win. I might lose a battle, but I'll always win the war, because that's how strong my soul is. You remember David and Goliath? He went out and Goliath laughed at him, this big, massive thing. And David went, I'll fight him. I've got God behind me. I'm going to get out there and have some of him. He don't scare me. And all the other Israelites are saying, they go, no, look at the size of Goliath. He's massive. And this little farmer's lad, David, goes out there with his slingshot. All he did, they give him a shield. And he went, I don't need that. He said, I won't win like that. And he picked up a few stones off the deck out of the sand. He picked up a few stones. And Goliath laughed at him. And David swung that sling. And that shot hit him straight in the head and killed Goliath. and the Israelites won that day. And that's me. I'll always find a way through. I'll always find my stone. I'll always have that sling. I'll always swing it, and I'll always hit my target. Eventually, I will. Nothing will ever beat me. But when the police was there, I'm just like, you're all working for Morlock. You know, they're all under very big hypnosis. And if you can, someone said, I don't know, a big philosopher said, if you can teach people to believe absurdities, they will commit atrocities. And I think we're at that stage, and I don't want to see that. So what is it that the police and that own and control? Well, through my investigative studies all over the years, I've come to the conclusion that pretty much all they own is a thing called a birth certificate, because that's Crown property, and they call themselves the Crown. I don't know why they call themselves the Crown, but basically they work for the Rothschilds. They work for the Rothschilds because after the Napoleonic War, the Rothschilds sent back runners to London and said, Napoleon's kicking our ass, man. We're in a sling. You should all be very fearful. So the stock market and the morale in this country took a massive toll. The stocks plummeted, and what happens was Jacob Rothschild or his family, Nathan Rothschild, whoever they are, I don't know, Ashmiel Rothschild, all these other idiots. And bearing in mind, Adolf Hitler and the Nazi Party actually did lock up some Rothschilds and kick their banking system into the ground in Germany in the Nazi times. I don't know if you know that, but they did. And Hitler started printing his own money and rebuilt that country in 5 years. That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. But the point is this: they collapsed the thingy. Rothschilds bought up all the stocks, and pretty much overnight, the Rothschilds took control and ownership of the people of this country. And in many, many years ago, before 1666, I'm just giving you a little, very small, brief, common sense overview of how this has all come to pass. In 1666, we had a Great Fire in London. Apparently, a guy called John Smith, who was a baker down Pudding Lane, farted, and he set light to a load of flour that was sat on a thing. And he went home because he had a dodgy stomach. Next thing, this building's gone up in fire, and it took out most of London, or a good portion of London. So whilst London was burning and Pudding Lane was going up, and if you've never walked up the monument in Pudding Lane, it's fantastic. You can go up there. I remember with me and my brother racing my granddad up there years ago. And my granddad passed away a few years ago. He got to 96. Good old Freddie. Never forget him. Love him to pieces. And this spiral staircase goes all the way up through this monument. So I am a Londoner, born and bred. I come from a manor in London. Do you know what I mean? And I always question, you know, what had gone on there. How did that get so far out of control? And I think it was Samuel Pepys. And I went to a school just up the road from Samuel Pepys, funnily enough. I went to the upper class school where people got out of the bath to take a piss. And we were quite switched on. I certainly was. So Parliament was plotting in 1666, right? And what they did, they come out of an act of Parliament called the Sedekay Trust, the SESKV Act of 1666. And SESKV means he who lives. And they said, well, we don't know who's alive and who's dead, so we're going to class everyone as dead until they turn up and claim their estate. So prior to 1666, John Smith would have been John Smith. He wouldn't have been Mr. And Mrs. John Smith would have just been Joan Smith. And the kids would have been Paul and Harry and Charlie. And they lived wherever, Tottenham, wherever. And they went up to Parliament. The old mate said, listen, this is my house. I live out. Righto, you've claimed your dominion back. You've got your title back, because we all do have dominion and title. Yeah. Well, we have dominion. Titles are a bit of a dirty thing. So no one was called Mr. and Mrs. before 1666. Now, we had a program on years ago called Mr. and Mrs. Quite funny. Back in the 70s and the 80s, Mr. and Mrs. was quite a good gig. But that's how they crunched on us. That's how they deceived us. And we've been hugely, hugely deceived. Now, I want to give you a couple of clarifications. First of all, we were born to the world. We weren't birthed. We were born. We come in. We're God's creation. From the dust we come. We break bread, and to the dust we return. That's in Genesis. And we wipe the bead from our brow, and we will eat the bread that the earth has tilled up to us, and we will return to the dust. If you've ever seen anyone scraping out a crematorium thingy, you'll see that we actually do turn to dust. Now, whether that's an accelerated process through crematoriums, or it's a process of going in the ground in a box, and within next to no time, your body's just gone back to dust, right? So that's a fact. But they come across this system called a birth system. Now, we don't have to accept it because we are a consent-based country. And I would suggest that most people in the Oshalancers, in the higher Nether regions, actually don't have birth certificates. I'd be very surprised if the Majesty of the Queen has a birth certificate. If you never noticed that Her Majesty of the Queen, Prince Charles and all the other Herberts, when I think he married Diana, who really, while he was hammering the nail into Diana, he was thinking of Camilla. Lord only knows why. I mean, he must be blind. But you see him take off in his Aston Martin DB6, a bit like Bond, up the Pall Mall and off to Bonnie, Scotland with his bride over his arm, because Charles is a bit of a dude, and no number plates on the car. Why? Well, first and foremost, he's very recognisable. Hello, hello, hello. But he's a sovereign, and sovereigns under God don't need number plates. Sovereigns under God don't need any pieces of paper. So this is the point we're all coming to, right? We were born, we weren't birthed. We were born into the world. I slipped out of my mother's vagine in 1967, and 5-6 days later, my parents couldn't wait to go and register me at the General Registry Office. Now, I don't hold it against them in any way, shape or form. They were ill-informed, and so was I when my kids were born, and I'm gutted that I ever did. I'm really gutted, but I can promise you now, ladies and gentlemen, there are many, many thousands of people now that do not register their children because they realise that they're giving up. And I made a bit of a bold statement the other week and said, someone said, this so for my child, and I'm a good parent. And I said, did you register your child? And they said, yeah. I said, well, we're not good parents then, because you don't give up your property. You should never give up your property. And if we read the good book, it tells us that we should never do and take up these abominations. So we've all took a graven image, right? This all comes into the 10 Commandments. And I've got the 10 Commandments up on my front door now, ladies and gentlemen. As you come in my porch, on my wall there is a metal plaque of the 10 Commandments, and it's fantastic. So we've all been hugely deceived, but we're waking up to these times. We're tackling the Morlocks in our own way. We're going into the underground, into the belly of the beast, and we're understanding how this all works. So the police only own a bit of public property, which is the birth certificate, but we've all been playing it. But we can give it back. We don't have to. We're a consent-based country, consent-based world. You can't be forced to do anything, although the police do use force on many levels now, but they'll be judged, because the Bible does say that judgment is strictly reserved for God. No one else can judge. No one in a suit with a wig on his head, and they all wear these wolf in sheep's clothing, sheep's in wolf's clothing, wolf in sheep's clothing, whatever it is. It's made out of lamb's wool. It's to hide their wicked thoughts from God, and they pay fortunes for these things. You got Rumpole of the Bailey. He's had this syrup of fig on his head for about 1,002 years. He dies, passes away, and this syrup of fig goes and sits on a dummy model somewhere. Well, these barristers and that prosecutors, they pay absolutely thousands and thousands and thousands, because they're fucking psychopaths, because they truly believe that barrister that's worn that for 1,002 years, that wig will contain all of the knowledge and wisdom. Now, you've got to be a fucking Fruit Loop to think that, right? But they do. They will pay absolutely £100,000 for one of these syrups, and it must stink. You've got a dead sheep on your fucking head. What's that all about? But we're coming into these truths now. If you don't register your kids, they threaten you. That's why people do it. Absolutely right, Dale. But that's living by force. Why would you threaten anyone to do anything? If someone come up to me and said, Dave, I want to build a swimming pool in your back garden, I say, fuck off, excuse my French. And they go and do it anyway, and then they bring the police along, they use force, and they hold me against me will while they dig the pool. That's using force, man. And at that point, when force is involved, you can forget law. You can forget it. The old, we're here, we're exercising the law. Oh, okay. Are you going to use force? Yes. Well, then you've negated law. And that's just a common sense point of view, because if you was a German stormtrooper and you was a French civilian, and the German stormtrooper come up to you with his fucking rifle and pointed in your head and said, I want your French baguette and your French onions hanging around your neck, you're going to say, oh, no, mate, you're all right. I'm keeping this for the wife and kids. I'm going to make a nice batch of French onion soup later. Yeah, sweet. Going to put a bit of sugar in it, sweeten it up, make it nice. And the missus like, I might even slip a bit of oxtail in it if I can get it. No, actually, you're going to give me that. No, I ain't. Hand a hot, put a gun in your face. Oh, no, yeah, actually, you can have this bit of bread and this French onion soup. No, you have it. Go on, me and the missus will go starving, Marvin. Don't worry about it. You crack on. That's the point we're at. When they use force, when they drag you out your cars, they use batons, mace sprays, weapons, anal beads, nipple clamps. They use it all now. then I'm sorry, but the law can't prevail, and law will never prevail. We used to have a thing called civil law. Civil, is it a civil thing? Yeah. How can you use force in a civil matter? I've got no road tax on my car. No. Is it civil? Yeah. But we're still going to drag you out anyway. Well, you're using force in a civil matter. What the civility means you do it civilly. That's where the word civil comes from, civility. But the point is this, as Jason Wills just said, hello, Marsh, I've had your missus in here for half hour. Son, where you been? You been polishing your wheels? Ooh, you know what I'm saying? Let thy without blemish cast aspersions. Judge not lest you be judged, but if you judge, judge in all righteousness on the straight and narrow. Absolutely. And that's what our politicians and our government and our judges are supposed to do. What Kenneth just put out there. Let the judgments be done in righteousness. When was the last time you went into a court with a judge and he made judgments in righteousness? Just don't happen. They wear all the black stuff. They represent the dead. But they do have white robes. Judges do have white robes. They do. I imagine they're all at home there spitting their cornflakes out because all these truths are revealing. I'm just a common man. I'm just a plumbing and heating engineer. I work with these. How the fuck do we figure all this out? It's consciousness. It's coming down from upon high, ladies and gentlemen. Now, if you read the Ten Commandments, you'll clearly see what you're supposed to be living by and whose law we're supposed to be living by. And it's good law. And people bang on about books called the Apocryphas and Maccabees and all that. Yes, they're good books, but they're not part of the scripture. And it's a separate issue. So we're a land governed by scripture. We're a world governed by scripture, which is God's law. And we need to get back to that. So we give back the public property. We give back the birth certificate. That's our right to do that. And then we come back into God's jurisdiction. We come back into thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's house, his ox, his manservant. Ooh, says Baldrick. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbour's property. And once you've got all that stuff up, they know that they can't violate God's law. And this is our saving grace. And grace is a fantastic thing. And grace can be earned in judgment all the time. No one ever asked for grace. No one ever asked for mercy and forgiveness. I would never ask for mercy and forgiveness unless I'd done something wrong. And even if I'd murdered someone, I wouldn't ask for mercy or forgiveness because I know I'd broke the law. But we have a situation now where I personally think the only way out of this is to give back the public property and to lay ourselves naked in the world and come back into God's promises. God don't never renege on his promises. And you would all say, oh, Dave's doing a Sunday sermon. He's talking on the Sabbath. If you read the Bible, you'll realise that the Sabbath changes all the time and the Sabbath is not a Sunday. The only time you'd worship and consider the Sabbath a Sunday is if you're involved in paganism. Purgatory, a big word that the Catholic Church likes to use. Purgatory is where you go for your sins of your soul to be healed before you then go to heaven. It's not mentioned in the Holy Bible. It's only ever mentioned in the Apocrypha. It's not mentioned in the Holy Bible. So there you go. Is purgatory real? Probably not. I don't know. Only way is to become part of the big book. Absolutely. Yeah, we have to. We're Druids with white robes. The Druids regarded as preachers of immortality. Wow. Marshall Wade, yeah, you've been polishing your wheels, son. You haven't, yeah? You probably just gone, all right, Bet, I'm going to just lay in bed for another 20 minutes now. You're going to sort the kids out. I know what it's like being married. How's your new job going? You're doing all right, mate? You're doing all right. Is it civil? Fuck off then. Exactly. But the old bill now, they've all become, they're on the trains now issuing out fines. There was a guy who went into Tesco's. He's got a Guy Fawkes mask on with a note on the top of it in red pen, I'm a COVID-idiot or something. And the manager of Tesco's has come up to him and said, you've got to leave my store. I'm not going to let you ain't putting that in my basket. And the guy said, well, just let me take the bits I want. He went, no, put your basket down, love. And they kicked him out of the shop. Not because he's not wearing a mask, ladies and gentlemen, because he said, I'll find your helmet offensive. My missus finds my helmet offensive. You know what I'm saying? But I don't wear it out in public. Dave, do you anticipate there will be a resolution to this, to the British people will find the courage to do so? Who knows? Personally, Aurora, I think this is an individual thing. We've all looked at big politicians over the last few years. We've all followed a thing called Q. We've all said, oh, they're all going to save the world. No. Let me tell you quite clearly, the only individual that's ever going to save you and your family is your goddamn self. Maybe they're sent here to teach us lessons. Maybe they're sent here to teach us that we are creation, and that we are the masters that control our own destinies. And I've always tried to be in control of my own destiny until my missus takes over. Seen that, he's offended people, please leave the store. Yeah, because he's wearing a mask with a few saucy words. Years ago in this country, we used to love being offended. We used to get right off on being offended. You know, Mickey Flanagan, the comedian, highlights this so well, that we all used to go down the pub to generally casually take the piss out of one another. And we used to have a laugh and a few punch-ups in the process, but we all got up and pretty much spoke the next day. Now, you can't say nothing without offending a snowflake. Oh, I find your mask offensive. Well, hang on, you can only kick me out of the shop if my face ain't covered. My face is clearly covered, but you don't like the words that are written on my mask. Knobhead. Yeah, so we're going to kick you out. And you ain't getting your groceries. Now, I just wonder, back in the 70s, when we had little corner shops that used to rely on local people coming in, getting their ham off the bone and their spuds, I wonder if they'd quite casually have that kind of luster to go in and with the hard kill. Because back then, they used to rely on you going in and be very gracious and thankful for your patronage. Oh, thank you for coming here and shopping. You know, we're going to give you a big brown bag to take your groceries home in. I just don't understand it. Is yourself in God's image? Yeah, we're supposed to be at one with the Father. We're not supposed to have free will. If you say you have free will and that you're sovereign, you're doing yourself and God a very disservice. And the reason why we're in so much mess is because we've placed ourselves above God. We think we've got reins. God give us reins. But at some point, if we're not very careful, he will turn his back on us and walk away and shut the door firmly in our face, as did Noah with the ark. Remember that. Remember Saucy Seaside, Postcards, and Carry On Humour. Yeah, absolutely. My favourite films, Carry On films. Barbara Windsor when she's stretching out, you know. Oh, and they all pop out. Beautiful scene. Beautiful scene. Mine's a tongue marsh, says Noisy Tone. No fighting in here, peeps. Actually, these two are quite thick as thieves, Noisy Tone and Marshall. I know what goes on. Jason Wills, is yourself in God's image? Yes, of course, man. You've obviously been watching the Servant King videos, and very graciously done and well done. Like my new hair, I've got new hair colour. I've been doing the old cuffs and collars, ladies and gentlemen. The grey's gone, the silver fox has gone. We've gone back for a little bit of brown now. Do you think it suits me? The English language, a key to success. Yeah, put it in my basket. Oh, that's going straight in my basket. Can you make Tesco's? No, you can't shop in here today, son. No, your spinach ricotta, it's got to go back in the fucking fridge because you're offensive. You're an offensive weapon. Well, I think the fucking manager's an offensive weapon. Man's got to eat. Man's got to eat. Don't matter where you go in the shop looking like gangsters, you've got to eat. What's going on? Because when he said, I don't like your mask, I couldn't see the geezer at the time. I thought, he said, I don't like your face covering. I'm thinking he's got like a scarf around his neck, like Doctor Who or a Rupert the Bear thing over his face, or a Spider-Man outfit. What the? And then when I turned around, he's just got a few saucy words on his thing. I'm thinking that ain't no reason to deny a man his daily bread. That just really isn't the reason to deny a man his daily bread, is it? Come on, there, people. What have we become? Oh, I find you offensive, and that's just one man's opinion. That's just one man's opinion. That manager of that store might not have been an opinion down the manager at a Tesco's 5 miles down the road. That manager 5 miles down the road might have found it quite funny. Yeah? But they're all driven by this policy now. Government own all these corporations. People see how dangerous this has become. We've got to be very, very, very careful. Yes, you look dashing. You could tweak my bum any day, Saucy. Ooh! How do you girls do all that tweaking? I tried it. It makes my false teeth fall out. I don't know how you do it, girls. Yeah, play it, yeah. And I'm always scouring through the TikTok videos just to catch these girls out that have got very little to nothing on. And they're doing all this twerking and showing out their big bang. I never knew what a big bang was. I thought a big bang was when you farted and your bum cheeks rattled together. But oh no, I've been very misled and very misguided. But I have to scan through these videos just so that I can tell them, go and put some clothes on. So we are. I always used to find the women, right? When I used to see a bird years ago, you know, with a lovely little senorita, and she's all done her hair lovely, and she's got a nice bit of gear on, and she's got a little handbag and the stilettos. I used to think to myself, God, blimey, I wonder what's under that bonnet. And it used to give the imagination something to think about, you know, and something to chase. But when they're walking around with a little cheese string sticking out their bum cheeks, you're like, well, yeah. What side of the N25 am I on here? What's going on? Is that a quiff you are sporting, Dave? Yes, Ed. Yes, we've got the parrot quiff going this morning, son. Ain't done yet. I couldn't care less. But Aurora Storm says she quite likes it. She said I could tweak her bum any day. If there was another world war, Britain would fall. Yes, we'd be too busy cross-dressing. While the Russians are changing the cogs of their guns and putting their bullets in, we'll be saying, oh, do I look all right? Put some camouflage on, love. So you blend in so no one sees you. Beautiful. So, yeah, ladies and gentlemen, this is the point we're at. You know, we can't shop now. But we've got to pull everyone back to God's kingdom, ladies and gentlemen. We are, and we're going to do it. We're going to do it. As Jason wants to do it, I'm doing it in the next few months. You're going to see me. The birth certificate will be firmly given back to the General Registrations Office up at Smedley Hydro. And I am going for a full baptism this year with my brothers and sisters in Christ. And I will be born again. And it's going to be a beautiful day. And I'm coming back into God's kingdom. And the only law I have to abide by then is the law of my Creator, who I am part of and not separated from. How you doing, Eddie? Eddie is a dude. That's how Eddie is. Eddie is a love. I love him to pieces. He don't take no nonsense. He's like Ron Seal. He does exactly what it says on the tin, and I love him for it. He wears his heart on his sleeve, but he ain't no fool. Vaccines. Yeah, now, who's having a vaccine slapped in their temple? I do get into some trouble on my local group on Facebook. We've got a local village group, and I'm always putting little quips out there, and I'll get shot down like there's no tomorrow. Well, they try and shoot me down, but I've got to put it out there anyway. I've got to put it out there. I've got to speak the word. I've got to put it out there and say, you know, be careful, people. You know, it's like a little kid when he's on his 2-year-old. He's a 2-year-old, his little scooter, and he's had his stabilizers off, and Dad goes, listen, don't go over a mile an hour, because if you do and you come up, you're going to scrape your skin up and going to hurt yourself, all right? Warnings, yeah? Parents give us warnings years ago. Don't go swimming, you can't swim unless you've got armbands on. Come on, you're going to drown. It's the same with everything in life. If we, you know, I might not be right. I'm probably wrong. Who knows? No one knows whether we're right or wrong. We're just all trying to find our way in this life. But I do feel that we're a nation under the cosh, and I do feel that we're a nation that is pretty much owned. All of us are owned. Our properties are owned. Our kids are owned. Our cars are owned. My little wind turbine out there is probably owned by Rothschilds. It's spinning around on its own. And my body, the Rothschilds deem to own the body. You know, like when anyone's ever passed away in your family and they want to do an autopsy, which they don't do no more, that's all disappeared. Autopsies, coroners have been taken out of the equation. But they always say, no, we can't release the body yet. We're not finished with it. Hang on. What the fucking hell's going on there? Do you own the body? They owned it while it was alive. They might as well own it while it's dead, because it's all crown copyright. It's all birth certificate. It's all morbidity. It's all dealing in the dead. They're necromancers. They deal in the dead. We've got people who it's disgusting. The great reopening on the 30th. Hopefully the British will open up their shops. Bless them. They need to. This country's going to go into a bit of a dark turn otherwise, if it's not already there. Who knows? We are in worldwide communism, talking about... Look, we imported the Chinese model for lockdown. Whatever this lockdown bollocks is, I've not taken no notice of it, right? And I use the word bollocks in the Latin term, which is a definition for legal. The word bollocks with one L is the Latin word for the meaning for legal, legalities. So when you was in a pub years ago and your mate said, oh, here, John, we're chatting about it, talking bollocks. Bollocks, you're talking about bollocks. He's meaning one L, not two L's. Two L's is offensive, one L's not. All right? So we've got to be careful with. We really have got to be careful. We're owned. But we imported the Chinese model. China's communist nation. When China wants to have a bit of it, they send their army in. They just take over. They smash your doors in. They shoot you dead. They do whatever. That's communism for you, right? And what did England import? We imported the fucking communistic Chinese mogul role model. We said, yeah, we're going to follow the Chinese. Well, hang on a minute. We are not a nation of communism. We are a nation of free-thinking, free people, apparently. But we imported the Chinese model, and everyone seems to love the Chinese model. They love the lockdowns. They love the fact that their shops are shut. They love the fact that their hairdressers are shut, their golf courses are shut, their gyms are shut. They fucking love it. They can't get enough of this lockdown. But in June this year, as long as they're talking about it now, you're going to be 2 and a bit years in, because it came out in 2019 and we're in 2021. So in March this year, it'll be 2 years of this nonsense, right? And if it generally worked, mask wearing works, you think you'd see all these numbers start going down, right? If everyone and his brother and his robber's dog in this country is wearing a mask, you'd think the numbers have been non-existent, right? But they're not. They're going through the roof. So it just proves that these bollocks and these vaccines and these masks do not work. What will work, though, ladies and gentlemen, is if you've got a super boosted immune system. Oh, yes. If your immune system is bowling around like Jeff Capes, you are. Oh, I take my vitamin D, vitamin C, my B, my zinc every single day. Every single day. And I eat and drink like a king. Let me tell you. Good stuff, Eddie Legend. Night, Dave and all. 3:15 here in Canada. My mate Dave Brambleby. God bless you, mate. Hope you're all right. God bless Peggy. Hope she's all right. Over there on the other side, and she's made a nice place for him. Remember, Jesus said, I'll go now and prepare a place for you, man. He says, and in my Father's kingdom, there's many, many mansions. They've got your name all over it. Don't disconnect yourself from the Almighty, people, let me tell you, because you don't want that. You want to keep your connection to the higher power. Night, Dave. Yes, have a good night, Dave. Lovely to see you. Give your missus a nice kiss for us. Watching Marshall many moons ago. Great, thanks. You see that old man tied to a tree in China by officials for going to a walk. Oh, you can't go for a walk. We got to tie you to a tree. What are? Fucking slitty-eyed little fuckers. Out in their own country, they can do what they like. But not here. Not in Great Britain. This is England. We don't do that sort of stuff here. But we've imported that Chinese model, ladies and gentlemen. Did you see Priti Patel walking out on stage the other day? Commanding her position and stamping her authority down like Darth Vader. It sounded like Darth Vader had come into the room. She's going, you lot are out of order. You better stay indoors. I'm giving the old Bill now full power stuff. Fuck you up. Really? Really? The only thing you can have any enforcement over Priti is a fucking piece of paper. You dumb schmuck. Anyway, I'm going to carry on. I'm going to finish my coffee. Which is going cold now. I want to thank every single one of you for tuning in this morning. I've got to go and put some more logs on the burner before it goes out. That's how long I've been on here this morning. Keep it fresh, keep it funky. Try and stay sane in these times, ladies and gentlemen. Go and watch the Serpent King videos. You are not going to go wrong with a bit of Serpent King. And let's all come out of Babylon. Let's all come out of this exodus from this system. Let's exodus from this system. Let's give them back their public property. Let's give them the big Winston V's. Tell them to fuck off. Let's come back into God's jurisdiction. He don't mind me having a little cuss word, let me tell you. And let's end this nonsense, because we're living in nonsense. We're not living in the real world. We're not living under God's jurisdiction and God's kingdom. We have been swindled like you've got no tomorrow. But at least we're all figuring it out there. So God bless you all. I salute every single one of you. Thanks for tuning in today. We've got up to 40 people in here this morning. That's pretty good for me. And speak to your friends and family. Spread the knowledge. Spread the love, ladies and gentlemen. Spread the gospel. Spread the word. God loves you so much. You've got no idea. And through me, he speaks. And through all of you, he speaks. Because you are one. You are connected with your Heavenly Father. Don't never let anyone tell you that you're not. I love you all. Take care. Dave, I thought you was going to bed, you saucy monkey. I'll be back with you all probably tomorrow. Now I've got to go to work tomorrow. I'm plastering tomorrow. On the old trails. Hopefully it won't freeze. I'm in the house. Got a couple of little dogs with me. So, yeah, love you all. Take care. Stay blessed. And don't matter whatever gets you down. Even if you're facing death, face it. Stay. Christians don't fear death. I don't fear death. I embrace it because it means I'm going back to that. I'm going back to God and Jesus and that. Why would I fear death? Christians don't fear death. We never, ever fear death. Never. We walk upright. We have our spear in the ground and our shield on. And we go, I don't care what happens to me. I'm living in that book and I know where I'm going. So why would I worry? I'll probably still scream like a baby when I'm just about to go. But we're all going to go. We're all just here in visitation, people. We're all souls and spirits in the body. And if ever you use them sort of words on any of your documents you're sending out to any of the people that are coming at you in your life, that you're a soul and a spirit and that they're harming your existence and your creation, just watch what happens. Just watch the magic happen. Anyway, I love you all. I'll see you all very soon because I know my coffee's going very cold and I need to finish it. Take care. Love you all. Dave Brambleby in Canada. Love you. Noisy Tone, Beth, Marshall, all of you that have tuned in this morning. You're all awesome. Never let anyone tell you any different. I love you.